Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name's Sean, and in today's video we're going to be doing some rough grading on our future house site. The only other thing I was worried about with doing this grading was this old wellhead, and I asked a bunch of questions about it, and luckily our one call team cleared it. It is no longer in use, so it's safe for me to remove. I guess it was just one of the older wellheads from roughly the 20s, I think they were estimating, so pretty interesting to see. There was just a little channel that drained over the hill for whatever was draining out of it, but it was dried up a long time ago, and I will be removing it because I need to grade this hillside a little better. So pretty much rusted off anyway, so pretty easy to get this taken care of. Okay, so if you just remember from our last brush burning video, we pretty much had this whole area cleared off from about this section around to where the driveway is going to come up. So I was able to get this whole section cleared and graded off a few years ago, and now it's time for this one. So lots of humps and bumps in here, and like I said, somewhere in here where the house is going to sit, probably somewhere around the fire pit here, I need to drop the elevation 10 feet for the walkout basement and over 30 feet. So the house will be 40 feet long, but there's a door and a window on the first couple feet towards the walkout basement side. So the ground already generally slopes this way, so it shouldn't be too bad. But obviously, we want to make sure we get a nice, well-established backyard so we can actually use it, and we have good access to the front of the house. So I'm not sure exactly where that's going to be yet, but we'll kind of see as the grade reveals itself. I would love to save this walnut tree and this Osage orange, but I don't think it's possible with how the grade is, because if I have to drop 10 feet somewhere in here, then our new elevation is going to be about 6 or 7 feet lower than this. And I would like to tie this driveway into the grade so I can actually mow up and down it, because right now it kind of levels off and then it drops very sharp. From when they originally put these logging roads in here, they just kind of cut this hillside in. So I'll see what I can do about saving those, but it really doesn't look likely. But worst case, those are good lumber trees, so we'll make some boards out of them or something, and get some use out of them. And of course we'll save all the other trees we can, but for this most part we have to keep the trees away from the house, because I'd hate to have one fall and smash our new house. So that's the goal. Let's hop in this dozer and we'll start pushing some dirt. Okay, well, I have everything pretty much roughed in, so now it's time to kind of locate where exactly the house is going to be and start trying to taper the grade to match the walkout basement, or like that drop in 10 feet, and then we'll try to establish like more of a front and backyard. But really I just had to get everything more of like a blank canvas. So with a lot of the humps and bumps there, it's hard to kind of see where the grade's going to be. So I tried just to move as much mass amounts of dirt as I could for now, try to get everything blended in, so, sort of. Unfortunately, I did lose the other GoPro for the like kind of spot video stuff. Still looking for it a little bit. I know it's not likely I'm going to find it, but I lost it somewhere around, I think when I jumped off to get a couple pieces of metal out of where the fire pit was and set them off to the side. So just been looking around there. I've been pushing a lot of dirt since then, probably about a half an hour ago. So I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but unfortunately it had a couple other little bits of footage on there, and I don't know, maybe we'll get lucky. But until then, I'm going to grab some paint and start laying some stuff out. Okay guys, I have some good news. So this is the most crazy, fortuitous thing that could have happened. So I just started from up here where I started using the dozer. I was just walking, general S pattern here, scanning the ground, trying to see, you know, if I could get lucky. I was like 10% sure I was going to find it. And of course, I think I dropped it by the ash pile there from the old burn site. I was just walking up this way, and look at that. Haven't touched it yet. So excited. Full of absolute crud and a little bit bent. Oh, the bracket is anyway. But I mean, I must have pushed it 50 to 75 feet to get to this point, and then just shook the excess dirt out. So absolutely crazy. I am absolutely pumped right now because that's never my luck. So we're gonna test it. We'll see if it works. Let's see. First try together here. Plenty of dirt. Look at that. Look at that. YouTube video in a video. The camera works. Have some dirt. Yeah, very lucky. Very excited that I found the camera. So, all right, on to getting paint and marking out for the house. Okay, so I think the hard part's mostly finished, but now we really have to commit to what's going to be the final location of the house, or at least very close to the final location. So I'm roughly standing in where the footprint will be. So behind me is about 45 degrees northeast, so closer to east, so that'd be northeast, I think. So we have north facing this way, and the back of the house will be facing about 45 degrees northeast, and that'll give us the best view of the mountains and the Appalachian Mountains behind us, while also giving us a nice evening sun, some shade so we can sit on the porch. I know the front porch will be pretty covered by sun in the evenings, but we usually don't sit on the front porch very often, and even if that's the case, we could always leave some of these trees up to help with that. So the goal now is just to lay out the footprint and kind of establish the grade for the walkout basement. So you can see this grade already gently slopes. I would say it roughly, just looking at it, 3 feet over 10 feet right now for most of the way. So we need to fall 10 feet over 30 feet. So that's already pretty close. So really we just need to clean up the grade here and kind of establish where that's going to be. So let's get this laid out and we'll see what makes sense, because we also would like to have a backyard behind the house, so we need some room for that. So I think the first corner we'll just randomly put somewhere and go with that. I guess this is as good a spot as final grade, or when we're actually digging the foundation. So we're going 50 feet by 50 feet. I do love that big open more. Let's see how good the eyeball is. Okay, so here's what we have now. So just in case it was hard to see, our front left corner is here, and 35 feet that way, we have another corner of the house. Whew, sorry, I'm winded here. Over there, we have another corner, and there is our other front corner. So 35 by 50 wide, and this walnut tree will have to come down, unfortunately, and then this big Osage orange, which I really have grown attached to because it's a monster. It's just way too close. I mean, you could do all this, dig it out, or you could dig out like the whole site here and build a house and everything, no problem with it there. It's not necessarily that, but it's a big tree, and if this thing ever fell, it would absolutely crush this corner of the house. So it's kind of unsettling to me, kind of a bummer, but we'll get it taken care of. And then still lots of other good Osage orange trees in the back here. So that basically means 5 feet from the back of that corner up on each of these back ends is where our grade stops. So we need to go from that point there to this point. We need to drop 10 feet. Okay, so I started to grade this out, and I noticed that that far side over there was a lot higher than the closer side to us, which would be like the left side of the house and the right side of the house. So I needed to move a lot more dirt to try to like level this off first before I get my slope away from the front to the back of the house. And it ended up just being a lot of dirt to move back there without doing that. So my dad brought the transit over, so I have that here on the stick, and we'll come back to the front here and see if we can shoot this corner first. So we'll shoot the grades on the front of the house and get those level first, and then we'll start working on the taper to the back. Okay, so that's pretty close. So let's see how much higher we are over here on this side. Oh yeah, we're significantly lower here. So if I take this dirt and take half of this dirt, whatever this distance is here, so we're at 6'3", and this side is about 4'3". So we're 2 feet high at this point, which isn't too bad actually. So if I take a foot of this dirt and put it over there, we should be pretty close. And then we'll regrade here. So let's do that.
Well, guys, I figured I'd take this opportunity to just discuss my thought process here with doing this. So obviously I'm not the most experienced on the dozer. I mean, I probably only have a few dozen hours on this machine, and a lot of the stuff we do twice, and that's of course just part of the learning experience here. So it's just still exciting to be able to save money and do things yourself. It's kind of a rewarding process. So that's kind of the whole goal from doing things and learning how to run this equipment.
Okay, so once we started shooting this with the transit, I realized that my eye was not as accurate as I thought. So I ended up stealing a lot of this dirt here, like I said, to try to build this up a little bit. But when we started shooting grades, so the front of the house right now I have at 0, and in the back where I thought I was sloped down about maybe 6-7 feet, I was actually only about 4.5 feet down. So we would have to go down double that depth, which is a lot of dirt to move, both here and all of the backyard. So right now the plan is to kind of steal all of this dirt along this back edge where it's all a couple feet high, and I spread it. So just take all this dirt and bring it to the front of the house. So basically it'll be this elevation straight over. That will raise me up probably about 2 or 3 feet at the front of the house, and then I'll only have to dig down maybe another foot at the back. So that's still a lot of dirt to move, but I think it's doable. It's just a lot of dirt to hog out. So yeah, I'm gonna get to this. We'll move at least this back set of dirt and see how that looks, and we'll go from there. Okay, the more I move dirt, the less and less it looks like this is going to be a walkout basement. So I'm going to shoot a couple more grades here and try to get some reference points. So, because it's getting hard to see where the grade is. So right here we were at 4 and something, just off a starting reference point. We have a starting point of, we'll call it 4'10", between 4'9" and 4'10". When I come down here to the back of the house, we need to have dropped 8 feet. And just looking at the base of the stick right now, we're roughly 4.5 feet. So I need to get 3 more feet of dirt across this whole front. I mean, geez, I'm feeling the more dirt I push places to build this up, the more this actually looks like it's relatively flat enough for a regular full basement. But kind of always had the idea that this would be a walkout basement. So yeah, I'm not sure what to do now, because 8 feet turns out to be a lot more of a drop than I thought of. Okay, so that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be with the pushing the dirt uphill. I actually have a decent, pile here now at the front of the house. So if I have to remember kind of where my lines were, I think it was around here. So I'm going to reshoot this grade here, and kind of just see if I'm close now. And I think I'm actually close enough I can get somewhat of a cut line down there and see exactly where I need to be. Okay, pretty good there. And of course we're going for 8 feet lower than that down here. I'm really hoping I made some progress. Okay, so we're about 5.5 feet now. So I still need to go about 2.5 feet lower than here. And I know I'm going uphill here, which is kind of a bummer because I'm gonna have to dig really deep over here. With the dozer, it's not as easy. Something like this. Oh yeah, I'm probably only 3 feet over here. And up here, I should be, I know I'm going uphill a little bit, but I want to be pretty level with the other front point, so. Oh boy. Oh, so I could actually take most of this and put it over there. Because I'm pretty high up here now, which is a good thing. So I can actually take probably 2 feet of this, push it over there, and raise that up another foot or so. And that'll keep me from having to dig so much. So that's the plan now. We're gonna do that. So I'll cut that down another foot, push it all up here, and we'll see where we are after that. Okay, well, that was the worst part about being on that machine. I am definitely ready to not drive that thing for a while. So I ended up adding most of this from the bottom up top here. So that got me a couple feet up, maybe 2 feet. And then I dug out another 2 feet at the bottom here. I still see that my lowest spot is on this side. Probably comes up another 2 feet, maybe 1.5 feet on this side. But I hit a pretty solid rock seam the last pass down here, and it's a pretty decent mix of dirt and rock through here, but it is just terrible for riding in that machine. I mean, it's like it takes a cut, but you have to really take a smaller cut, and it takes a lot longer, and every time you track over it, it just is rattling in your brains the whole time. Miserable. So I don't think I can go any lower on this because I just cannot, I can't cut into this rock seam anymore. So future pool, I guess, have to keep that in mind if that becomes a thing. So, oh man. So let's get our grades here and see where we're at. And then I also am going to just lay out the house footprint again. So that should help a lot. Okay, so there's our layout. Not perfectly square, but it's pretty close. Whew, walking over all this loose dirt is a chore. Okay, so here's our first point. So let's establish this. And hopefully we're pretty close to level over here on this other front point. Wow, yeah, I'll take that. So this point is good, and this point is good. So I need to just shave off a little bit of this high stuff here. This point right on top of the dirt. So pretty easy to come through and shave that down. But we also need to see how deep we are. So this is our line for 30 feet. So we have a 35-foot outer footprint. This is our line. So from this line back could actually be level with that back there. So this is a lot of dirt here to push up. And then our slope actually should start from this line to that point at the front of the house, not back there where it is now. So let's see. If we come flat with where we were back here, I'm 6 foot, so that's about 6 feet. So that'd be good. And then if I take this dirt, push it up there, and build that up another foot, I think we'll be good to go. Now this corner over here is kind of the one that's bothering me because I can't really dig anymore, and I know this is going uphill slightly. Oh, actually, where are we at here? And I'm just basing this because the bottom of the So it's probably 5 foot. So really not as bad as I thought. So I think if I take the dozer and start from here, where I have my backyard grade established, and just go flat, or I mean, I could even dig this down flat and push it all over there. That way I know where my cut line is, and then push it up. I mean, that'd be kind of 2 steps, but the other option would be to try to come in here and then lift up the blade and try to push it up directly, but that seems like it's going to be kind of a pain. So everything's kind of a pain. This whole process was way more involved than I thought. I thought the grade was going to be pretty close, but yeah, you live and you learn. So plenty of time on the dozer, I guess, to practice. All right, I'm gonna hop in the loader or the dozer, and I'm gonna get that cut line cut in, and then we'll go from there. All right, guys. Well, it is now Monday afternoon, and pretty much worked until dark last night. So this machine has lights, but they don't work. So I worked as long as I could. I think around 8:30, 8:45, I ended up turning it in because I couldn't see anything anymore. Just fueling up now. So over the weekend, ended up doing roughly 16 hours on the machine. So, you know, a lot more than that with just downtime of doing some measurements and taking some grades. So went through 3/4 of the tank twice. So I'll have to look up how big this tank is to actually see how much fuel I use, but it's probably about 15 gallons. So I'm on that twice now. So I'm roughly at 30 gallons of diesel fuel over the weekend. So I have the machine for the next day, but I obviously only have the evenings to work up on the hill. So hard to get stuff done. I pretty much got everything graded out last night. We'll take a look at that whenever I'm done fueling up here, and just have a few more feet of dirt to push. So we'll check that out when we get up to the top of the hill and see what we can get done today and tomorrow. Okay, so this is pretty much where I left off last night. So if I remember right, we had our footprint, and then we had our cut line 6 foot back from the back edge here, and my goal was to cut a level shelf, or actually sloping slightly away from the house, ideally, from the cut line, which is right there, my kind of high wall situation, and I was working my way back to get it even with the backyard here. So I ended up just pushing all that right here just to keep it out of here for now, because it was easier to do that than to push uphill. So my goal now for the rest of the evening here, I have to knock this side down because it's about 2 feet high, and I'm starting to get into that rock seam again, unfortunately, so it's kind of a rough ride. And take all this material, move it up top, and then take my high wall here and start that as my angle, and then put it up top here. So that's the goal for now. So that should, you know, probably be a couple hours of work, especially with this rock. It just makes it so much harder to take like small cuts of that and not vibrate my brains too much. So yeah, and then we'll just take this good topsoil that I left over here and kind of spread it over the top of all those rocks just to kind of dress it up a little bit, and then we should be good to go. So I'll set you guys up on a time lapse and we'll get to work. Okay, well, that's pretty much a wrap for the hard part here. So I pretty much got, oh, there's a deer just hanging out right there, a little doe about 200 feet away. So I was able to redo the top, kind of steal a little bit from the top. Then I have this nice gradual downward slope here now, and it should be around 8 feet if I remember right from the transit. And then I have all this backyard. So if I'm just looking at it, my head height here looks like it's about 6 feet, maybe 6.5. So no problem there. Backyard here, it's pretty much leveled off. I'd like to pitch it that way a little bit more. But again, this is just like roughing in the grade so I can actually lay it out and dig it with the excavator. So we can kind of touch all that in final grade. Same thing with this big Osage orange. Likely, I have to really look at how the tree is going to lay and if it would ever end up hitting the house, which I think it will, almost guaranteed. So this tree is likely going to have to come out, and then during final grade, I'll taper from about 30 or 40 feet out into our elevation here, because right now, obviously, it stops and then kicks up really high. So also we'll have to put in some French drains and everything. So a lot to do for grade still during final grade. And same thing with like this top part up here. Probably have to take out a couple of trees here just to cut this hillside down slightly. That way I can make the house up here the high point and pitch it this way slightly. So have a decent height there, decent height at the house, but I have like a dip in the middle here. So I have the option, obviously, if I'm gonna have a 30 by 50 square of volume, cube of volume, but cut in half because of this angle. So I have all this dirt that will be inside the basement, the finished basement, to bring up here. So, I mean, that's got to be 100 tons of dirt or so, just guesstimating. So I could use that dirt to fill in and then coat it with topsoil. Tried to save as much as I could. Probably have 30 tons over there and probably another 10 down there. But that's all for future Sean to figure out during final grade. But for now, just have a little bit of cleanup here. Hopefully the skid steer's cylinder's done soon. There'll be a different video changing that. And I can kind of tidy up with the skid steer because, you know, I'm not an operator by any means. And yeah, I can only get it so close with the dozer. So we'll get this cleaned up, get the topsoil coated down so it can actually grow something and I can keep it brush hogged. And it really should start looking nice. So I will maybe do one more update after I kind of get that cleaned up a little bit more, and then we'll be on to digging the foundation. Okay, so just spending about another hour this afternoon just tidying up a little bit on this grade here. So this is somewhat the final product. Again, I still need to kind of touch it up with the skid steer, but pretty much got this backyard section graded out pretty good. There's still a lot of big rocks sticking up, but really need to use the smaller machine to kind of clean those. Got my grade for my slope, and then the top front yard decently done, and then about 25-30 tons of topsoil for top coating this one. So I'm kind of happy with the grade. Another 10 tons here. So really the next step is going to be to finish the driveway here. So the entrance of the driveway, which we did the other day while we had the machine here, will come up to the house, and then this other section of driveway will end up going down towards where we live now and the opposite way. So it'll be a nice big loop, so pretty convenient for bigger tractors or trailers or anything coming through here. So yeah, I think for the house site, we are calling this one done for now, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.